Hi everyone and welcome to Doc's Thoughts. So I would like to talk to you about things you should look out for to know if you have inflammation. This one hits true to home for me because in the last year, I started to have some more signs of inflammation. I did some blood tests, I kind of figured out why it was happening, and I was able to kind of self-correct and auto-correct to get that inflammation to come down. So what is inflammation? I always try to tell people, like, imagine if you have a cut that gets infected, right? A cut is usually, pretty clean and normal. It doesn't hurt too much. If it gets infected, it starts to get red. There might be pus associated with it. And it kind of has its own heartbeat. It has a throb to it. Systemic inflammation, meaning inflammation inside of your body, is no different. You just can't see it physically with your eyes, but you can definitely feel it. It's just a more subtle thing. So inflammation is when things in your body are just a little bit inflamed. Your inflammatory markers are a little bit higher, and things just aren't working the way they're supposed to, and your body's immune system isn't reacting to things the way it's supposed to. So things you might experience if you have inflammation. So if you're starting to have things like joint pain, so it's normal to have pain in your joints every once in a while, especially if you have osteoarthritis or if you've just done a big exercise. But if you kind of have like chronic aching in your hips or your wrists or your neck, those kind of things, those can be signs of inflammation that you might want to get checked for. Chronic headaches. So obviously lots of things can cause chronic headaches, but if you have new headaches and they're coupled with other joint changes and things like that, that's a good sign that you might have some systemic inflammation. Muscle aches and pains. So you can have pain in your joints, but you can also have aches in your muscles, especially your major muscles. That could be a sign that you have some inflammation. Chronic fatigue. So fatigue is a big thing. So obviously if you don't sleep well, if you're eating poorly, there's lots of things that can cause fatigue. But if you have fatigue that's unexplained and you've kind of corrected everything else and it's still happening, that could be a pretty good sign that you have systemic inflammation. And then a couple more things, low exercise tolerance. So if you're someone who is, this specifically happened with me, if you're a person who works out regularly and you're just finding that you can't do your workouts as well and your tolerance is down, you could have some systemic inflammation. And then lastly, mood changes. So your brain is very much affected by inflammation. So if you start to have mood changes or feel a little bit low or funky, or you're more reactive or have more PMS, it could be a sign of systemic inflammation. So what do you do with all this stuff? So you need to see someone to talk about it, because the causes of inflammation are immense. And unless you work with someone who knows what they're talking about and kind of can check all the boxes off, you're gonna have a hard time figuring it out on your own, watching videos like this or TikToks or things like that. So work with someone who can really ask the right questions and look at things holistically to figure out where your inflammation might be coming from. You're gonna wanna have labs done. You're gonna wanna have someone talk to you about your diet, your level of exercise, your level of sleep, your stress, your lifestyle things. That's really important. And you're gonna wanna talk to someone who knows how to deal with supplements, because there's some really great supplements that can help with systemic inflammation. So at the end of the day, it's not normal to not feel good. So obviously there are diseases people have where they don't feel good. I'm not talking about that. On a daily basis, if you don't have a disease and you're walking around and you don't feel good, that is not normal. I have patients who will be in their 40s. They say, oh, I'm just getting old. I must just be getting old. And I'm like, hey, I'm 47. It's not normal to not feel good. So you should feel good. And if you don't, make sure you figure out why and do everything to the best of your ability to feel good, because that's the way we're supposed to feel. So hope that helped. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.